Did you know that over the last 100 years, we have lost an astonishing number of the world's tigers? Only a handful remains. The tiger is a carnivore, which kills many herbivores for food. Still, we want to protect this animal from extinction. Why is this? As well as being culturally important, tigers also balance the ecosystem. So what would happen if tigers become extinct? Tigers depend on primary consumers or herbivores for food. With no tigers, the population of primary consumers will keep growing. They will consume a large quantity of vegetation, in turn affecting the habitat of other species. Thus, every organism in the ecosystem performs an important role. Energy transfer is one important process that occurs through these organisms. Let us find out more about it. Every living organism within the ecosystem needs energy to survive. They derive this from food. The source of all food can be ultimately traced back to plants. During photosynthesis, plants convert solar energy into chemical energy. Some animals eat plants. Some animals eat other animals. All of them are decomposed by the decomposers. Food chain. A sequence or chain can be identified of who eats whom or what in the biological environment to obtain nutrition. This is known as the food chain. A food chain can also be described as the flow of energy and nutrients from one group of organisms to another in an ecosystem. The simplest example of a food chain is the three-step food chain that depicts the interdependence of organisms in a sequential form. Grass is eaten by a grasshopper, which in turn is eaten by a frog. A typical food chain may have 3, 4, or 5 steps. A food chain does not exist independently. Many food chains exist in the ecosystem, interacting and forming a network known as the food web. Every organism holds a position in the food chain. This is known as the trophic level of an organism. Let us find out more about it. There are 4 main trophic levels. More trophic levels may exist in some food chains, but they do not go beyond 6 steps. Let us take a look at this. The producers or green plants lie at the base. They take in energy from the sun. The primary consumers, which consume the producers, are at the second level. Next, the primary consumers are eaten by the secondary consumers at the third level. At the highest level are the predators, also known as tertiary consumers. Organisms at every trophic level need energy for various tasks such as respiration, catching prey, and digestion. How do they get this energy? To gain energy, animals depend on each other for food. Energy flows from one trophic level to the next trophic level. During this, some energy is always lost as heat at every step. By the time it reaches the 4th level, the energy to be transferred is almost negligible. This is the reason why a food chain does not have more than 6 steps. The rate of energy flow and the amount of energy are depicted with the help of an energy pyramid. Energy is at its maximum at the lowest trophic level and at its minimum at the highest trophic level. Hence, the pyramid of energy is always upright. Energy can be neither created nor destroyed, but can be transformed from one form to another. Scientists have studied the flow of energy between different components of the environment. They have derived some rules regarding the transfer of energy in an ecosystem. Flow of energy. Once energy has been consumed by the herbivores, it does not come back to plants. This indicates that the flow of energy is unidirectional. Conversion of energy. Plants or producers convert solar energy into chemical energy during photosynthesis. 10% law of energy. Out of the enormous energy radiated from the sun to the earth, only about 1% is captured by plants during photosynthesis. The remaining 99% of energy returns to the atmosphere. That is, if plants receive 1000 joules from the sun, only 10 joules is available as plant food, and the remaining 990 joules are reflected into the environment. From here, let us examine the 10% law of energy. Of the 10 joules present in the producers, the herbivores get only 10%, that is, 1 joule. The remaining 9 joules are lost as heat. Further, when the carnivores consume the herbivores, they get only 10% of 1 joule, that is, 0.1 joules. The remaining 0.9 joules is lost as heat. Based on several such observations of the transfer of energy, Lindemann proposed a law in 1942. According to this law, the amount of energy available at each successive trophic level in a food chain is 10% of the previous level. This is known as the 10% law of energy. Food chains depict the relationship of different organisms in an ecosystem. Food chains help to transfer the energy from one trophic level to another. Food chains transfer materials and nutrients. Some harmful chemicals or heavy metals also enter the body through food. These cannot be broken down or eliminated and accumulate in fatty tissue. As we move up the food chain, toxic levels also may increase. Higher levels in food chains may have more toxic traces. This is known as biological magnification or biomagnification. Thus, food chains help us understand the degree of concentration of these harmful chemicals at every stage or level.